Alright, ladies and gentlemen, my fucking sleepers. I missed this panel so hard. I had no idea the time was this much. So I'm about 49 minutes late on this one. But hey, luckily this is on YouTube so I can rewind and watch everything. So let's check it out. Let's see what they had to say in the deep dive of World of Warcraft. I'm expecting good things. I am. Because the fucking trailers look good. And they had good things to say, so let's hope it's good. Let's fucking see.
HyperX. We're all gamers.
Also,
Welcome
this
back,
fucking shirt
BlizzCon. We're
is
starting the day
very
off right.
hot.
Here's the World of Warcraft deep dive.
The War Within. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the expansion name. I forgot. So,
Good afternoon, BlizzCon! So good to be back. Whether you are here in the arena with me right in front of me, whether you're watching from elsewhere in the halls, whether you're joining us from the comfort of your home, thank you for taking the time to join me for this deeper, closer look at what's coming next in the War Within. I love you too! I love you, BlizzCon.
I fucking love Ian Hasekostas.
Morgan and Maria gave you
I think he's a good game designer.
Today I want to spend a bit more time
I think he
giving
is.
you more information.
I know a lot of
on
people don't
the
like him, but I do.
Of War Within, as well as a few things that didn't get mentioned at all yesterday.
Or maybe that's just the vocal minorities.
Beginning, just a little teaser there. So to begin, let's talk delves. So
Let's fucking do
what
it.
is a delve? As you
Yeah,
heard yesterday,
I never quite
delves
understood
are
this.
These quick, bite-sized, epic adventures for flexible-sized groups.
Yeah.
So either solo or with up to 5 players. They are role agnostic, so it doesn't matter if you're a couple DPS, if you're a healer and a tank, if you're a solo healer.
Oh yeah,
Make it work
it's scalable
where
content.
you are, how you want to play. Delves are a new endgame pillar. This is a permanent addition to World of Warcraft going forward and represents kind of a capstone to the outdoor world experience. We've had dungeons, we've had raids, we've had organized PvP, and I think we've had some stuff for outdoor world players to dabble in. But if you wanted progression, if you wanted goals,
Fuck, I fucking muted my microphone like an idiot. All right, let's try again. I don't know who I watched, but I'm pretty sure I watched Asmongold. Whenever he said something about, I could be mistaken. It could have been someone else. If it was, then I'm sorry. But the fucking Heroes of the Storm battlegrounds, they should have made that into a PvP battleground. Like 5v5, you fight out in the jungle and fight for the resources, bring down structures and whatnot. Like that should absolutely have been a dungeon or a battleground by now. Let's continue. I won't pause this much, but I just had to say that.
if you wanted a deeper, more structured experience, frankly, we were letting you down. We want to change that. That's what delves represent in World of Warcraft. So structuring this, really we want to approach it as something that you are going to be engaging in all season long.
So yeah.
Variety and flexibility in how you approach it, and the replayability of the content is kind of a mainstay of what it's all about.
We talked about this being
progression. And I think if you're an outdoor world-focused player, a lot
like
of the
world
time,
quests.
it's just about kind of spending your time doing a thing, going to a
Maybe
place,
as
doing an
evergreen
event,
as world
but
quests.
there aren't necessarily goals to work towards. There aren't necessarily reasons to be excited about getting an item upgrade because it's going to let you do something you haven't been able to do before. A difficulty progression built into delves is going to enable us to offer that. Now, there's a lot of lessons we've learned over the years from building this type of content, whether it was Torghast in Shadowlands, Island Expeditions, scenarios, you can throw in horrific visions in that list. We've learned a lot about how to tune these sorts of experiences, how to design them for flexible scaling groups of different sizes, of different role compositions, about what's fun and what isn't. But we've also learned, based on your feedback, about what not to do in some cases, in terms of how we structure it, how we present it. I think a key aspect of saying this is an endgame pillar is that it's an offering in parallel to the others, to dungeons.
Yeah,
to
so it's
raids.
just extra
If you want to
content
do this,
if you want to
your
do it.
jam, if this is your type of gameplay,
Yeah.
we're there for you, and we want this to be as deep as you want it to be.
I mean, how can
If you're happy
anybody
running
be
Mythic
like
Plus and you just want to focus on that, we're not
angry
looking to
about
add
this?
another item to the checklist of things you feel you have to do to compete. It's
This
an
is just
alternative,
straight up better.
Unlike Torghast, which is something that we did kind of say everyone has to do this, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You'd rather do something else or not.
Fuck
That gets back
Torghast.
to some of the philosophies that Morgan touched on yesterday and how
Until
we're
they fixed
approaching
it.
designing and
It actually
evolving
became
World of Warcraft.
kind of good.
We want to meet you where you are. We want to respect your time. We want to offer you the ability to choose how you want to spend that time each day, each night in Azeroth.
Good. That's just good. Perfect. Preach? The
So in
preach?
terms of the character of Delves and what a specific one will be like, the vibe here is about unraveling mysteries, it's about exploring, it's about feeling like an extension, a seamless extension of the outdoor world experience. These are not dungeons. Every dungeon is ultimately about killing a series of bosses or boss-like encounters, and the dungeon is over when you kill the final baddest boss at the end of the dungeon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the structure that they all have to conform to. As much as we try to vary the formula a bit, that's pretty much what they're going to be. In the outdoor world, things are a bit different. We can, break some more of the rules. And really, at the end of the day, the one consistent thing about Delves is that they're all going to end with a room full of treasure. Some of those will have a final boss guardian in front of them. Others, you may be, just exploring, traversing the delve, flipping switches, solving a puzzle, defeating lieutenants, gathering things that you need to open the vault door. We can vary the gameplay, we can vary the feel of the experience. These are going to be instanced experiences, but they are seamless. When
How
you walk
varied.
up to, this, as I'll show in a second, a fog door at the entrance to a cave, at the entrance to a structure, you're just going to walk in, no loading screen, and now you're in a delve. We want to make sure this really feels like part of and an extension of
So wait,
the outdoor world.
are they kind of like a scenario?
Now, as part of an in-game pillar, that means we want to tie this into
Or a seamless scenario, you don't queue up for it.
So,
You
as
just
well
walk
as
into
a
it?
narrative progression over the course of a given season, there will be increasing rewards, increasing difficulty, and a change of pace, whether you're in Season 1 of War Within, Season 2, and so forth. Part of that is going to be the NPC companion that will be accompanying you on your adventures. The Season 1 companion, as we mentioned yesterday, is our good friend, Bran Bronzebeard. Now, what does this mean? What does the companion mean in practice?
Okay.
Well, it's a few things. One, it's definitely a narrative hook. It gives us a chance to help give context for your adventures, kind of narrate what you're going through. But also, it's a chance to kind of play with the mechanics and complement your playstyle. As Bran adventures with you, you might find some gear for Bran. You might be able to gear Bran up. You'll be able to spec him and customize his abilities to complement what you or your friends are bringing to the group, whether you want more survivability, whether you want help with someone to tank, whether you want more control. This can help us balance the experience as well and give you another vector for your
This is kind of
progression
like Withered
over the course of the
Armory training
Now, I know this has kind of been very high
from
level.
Legion
I want to just give a couple of
in
specific
a
examples
Nightfall
of a
and
day in the
Reputation.
life of someone jumping into delves in War Within. So let's say you are casually journeying across the Isle of Dorne.
Besides the fact that you
pastoral
just
meeting, and you come across
run into
this
one.
structure with that fog door set into it, and you decide to venture in. So as you venture in, you are, as I mentioned, seamlessly in the delve, and you will find, just huddled inside the entrance, a group of expedition scouts who have come to this place. They've heard reports of great secrets, great treasures, powerful relics stored within, but they've been unable to proceed further because they tell you, and Bran is among them, mind you, they tell you this place, there's an unnatural, there's a disturbing darkness that has settled over this entire vault, and we can't proceed. Fortunately, they have in their possession a relic that they have brought that is an enchanted candle that can light the way. It has a little light radius around it. If you think back to the Vault of the Warden's dungeon, if you remember that in Legion, what the basement was like.
Yeah, I
really
fucking
felt like just a dark,
hated
scary place,
that
but
dungeon.
you had this beacon in the darkness to guide
Sure.
the way. you have one of those. But, they tell you, it has very limited fuel. They dare not proceed on their own because they worry they're just going to get trapped in the darkness and destroyed by the terrors within.
Okay.
But you, of course, being the champion who's come along, you're up to the task. So you take that candle with its light radius that will begin to shrink progressively as your limited fuel burns, and you take some
Can I
steps
find
into the
fuel?
delve. Now, who do you find in here? Well, as it happens, you run across
Kobolds?
fellows like this guy.
Yeah.
This
That's a
bit more
kobold, right?
jacked than your average kobold.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kobolds in here. And as you know, as any World of Warcraft player knows, where
Why
you
are
find
they
kobolds,
dwelling in the
you're gonna find
darkness?
candles.
They don't like
And this guy's going to
darkness.
put up a fight, but it being World of Warcraft and all, you're going to take his candle. You're going to take the candles of his allies.
You don't take candle.
And, you know, that will help fuel this magic light that you have, help keep the light burning so that you can traverse the entire delve, defeat a couple of lieutenant-type enemies, bosses, solve a puzzle or two, and at the end, you make your way into the vault room that Bran is able to open once you bring him there, and you find this mock-up, work in progress of a treasure room, heaping with riches, treasure chests of various shapes and sizes. Some of the smaller ones, you can just walk up and open, collect a range of items, currency, rewards, you name it. But you'll find a couple of extra large, resplendent chests in this room.
This is like that fucking, what's it called? Mr. Pandaria Island. You could find keys and open different chests and gamble to get. I don't know if you could get pets or if it was just gold. And also you could get keys in the chest again, so you can open more. The fuck was that island called?
Those may require special keys to open. Now those
Good
keys
island.
you would obtain from doing
5.3.
kind of outdoor content,
5.4?
weekly quests. They're a bit more limited in how you can get them, but also
5.4,
allow us to offer and
I think.
pace out the best rewards. They're on par with some other endgame content to make sure it's not, you know, infinitely grindable or anything like that, but it's an extension of your outdoor world loop if this is your playstyle.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you come back to the same delve on another day. You might find that there isn't a magical darkness settled over the place. Instead, there are earthen locked in battle with kobolds, and you can help turn the tide of that fight as you work your way through, dealing with some different challenges along the way. Variety, replayability, lots of layers to the experience. Now, so you venture back out into the zone, heading off to a different corner of it, and you come across this.
So you're only gonna talk
cave
about delves?
surrounded by mushrooms. It's known in legends as fungal folly. Now, maybe not.
So I have a strange feeling that this could be like the war
Take a few
fronts.
steps forward. In here, you might find an environment where, whether it's due to
Or
unusual
islands.
ores or whatever in the walls, the rules of gravity are a bit topsy-turvy. And you'll find mushrooms scattered around the cave that you can use as basically jump pads to help navigate the environment, to skip over enemies you want to avoid, to reach high up ledges that you couldn't otherwise get to. You're starting to get the idea, like, this is more the world as toy vibe that we try to play with when we're creating outdoor events, outdoor
Yeah,
spaces.
that's good. That's
These
good.
are not mechanics you'd necessarily find in a dungeon, but I think the team really is unshackled, is freed to explore a much wider array of gameplay
Just
when we're building
Extra
worlds.
random shit to do.
So let's talk a bit more about the
But is
loot.
that a jumping puzzle
So
though?
actually, before we talk about the loot,
Or was that a
sorry,
delve?
These are the 12 delves that we currently have planned, scattered throughout the 4 zones, each themed around the ecologies, each themed around the settings that you're going to find. Now, some of the attentive among you may be saying, wait a minute, Morgan's slide said there were 13 delves yesterday. He might be right, but there also might be a secret delve that you have to explore a bit more to discover that awaits you.
Ah.
So yeah, loot. Part of being a seasonal pillar means going to the Great Vault every week and getting to share in that disappointment.
Oh,
that
so you
your
can get
raiding and playing
all the
brethren
disappointment.
have also had the pleasure to
So
enjoy.
they're gonna add an extra one. Work.
Wait,
Oh,
just want to make sure
it's
you don't
already
feel
there.
left out. So you're welcome. So yeah, so you'll note this isn't a delves
But
row,
wait,
this is a world row.
Where's PvP then?
And really that is enshrining these 3 PvE
Did
pillars,
they
raids,
fucking
dungeons, and
remove
world.
PvP?
You'll be able to unlock some of these slots doing select outdoor world activities, as well as, of course, delves with better rewards from higher
Did
difficulty
they finally
delves.
give up?
Our thinking in terms of the rewards here, this is all subject to tuning, is that this should reach to, let's say, end boss heroic raid Mythic 10 to 15 type range, accessible just via solo progression. Far better loot than you've ever been able to get before.
I like that. I don't want free fucking gear. No,
And
that's
now,
Septa.
I'm sure this is, I know this is the delve section, but I'm sure there's folks looking at this and being like,
Or maybe I
wait a
just...
minute, what about the PvP row?
Yeah. Where's PvP run?
Don't worry, we got you. We are removing the PvP row from the vault.
Okay.
We're doing that based largely on feedback that we've heard that randomness and PvP gearing maybe are not the best combination. I know it took a few years to get that message through to us.
Yeah.
So
I see.
the way this is
No
going
one
to work
plays
is
PvP
instead,
anyway, but
you're just gonna
I see.
you're going to get a whole lot more conquest.
I mean, even
You're gonna
Rookie
gear up at
probably the
same
only
rate
one right now.
overall, but you will have complete control over your gearing path, just spending your conquest on the items that you want. With easier catch-up, if you come in late in the season, you don't have to worry about having missed certain vault weeks. Also, if you're someone who PvPs a lot and you raid, you don't have the awkward choice of that raid trinket versus the PvP item that's going to help your arena partners. So,
Nice. I mean... That's loot?
hopefully, just good news for everyone. Now, aside from, just power, also, you get silly hats. Nothing more to say here. These just...
I want that.
These
My
are just a
character
few examples
already
of
looks
the
ugly,
array of
so
cosmetic rewards
go.
that will be exclusive to delves, reflecting the
This
very
could be hunter
ecologies
gear.
and environments you're going to be facing. So, silly hats, World of Warcraft. Less silly, just as, let's say, Mythic Plus
Ooh.
players have amounts that they can earn over the course of a given season, this customizable flying mount will be exclusively available through thorough completion of the delve experience. You know the customizability of it. This will be customizable the same way you can
that's
customize
sick.
your current dragon riding drakes at the rostrum.
So
Modularly.
they're incentivizing Delve by putting a fucking sick ass mount behind it. That's sick. That makes me want to do it. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love our artists. Okay, up next. Warbands.
Yeah, what the fuck was Warbands? I didn't understand this.
I feel like I could probably just save 10 minutes this panel by just saying account wide everything and like just click through the next slides. But
Oh.
it kind of that.
Oh, so it's the legacy system from Star Wars.
I don't know if you guys know this, but turns out y'all play a lot of alts.
Yeah.
I'm sure that actually the number of characters per person in this room in particular is like some insane average. But the average WoW player today plays multiple characters. The two-thirds of players who have a level 70 have multiple level 70s. Half of players have 3 or more. Most people are playing multiple characters a week. And that's not something the game, it's no secret, has always done the best job of supporting.
Yeah.
Part of that is because World of Warcraft 20 years ago
Even
was
though
built
we
with
have
very different
complained about it
assumptions
for
that both mean
the longest time.
design-wise, but actually engineering-wise as well. The infrastructure and the architecture.
Changes are welcome. Very welcome.
Back then, it took hundreds of hours to level a single character, of course, and playing alt seriously was far, far from the norm. But we've kind of inherited, we're still working
Fuck, they're
with,
cooking.
we've been working with those foundations to this day. And so when we get requests for them, when we talk about alt friendliness, we try to do it, but we're often working against, we're swimming upstream, given the underpinnings of a system that were never designed for this. And that's why you get some, frankly, pretty clunky solutions, like, well, if you want to transfer this currency to your alt, go to a vendor and spend some to buy a different box that contains account-bound currency that you can then mail to yourself, log out, log back in, take the box out of your box, and open it
That's
on your alt.
very stupid.
Congratulations, you have moved 300
And
supplies.
we've just accepted that.
Elegant design, ladies and gentlemen.
So does that mean they're
What if we
fixing
didn't
that?
have to do that? So at its core, Warbands is, what if we just rebuilt those foundations and created a new future, both for the things we want to offer today and the things we'll be able to in the future, so we're not fighting against the nature of the system, but instead it complements what we want to do. Now the focus here is really making it convenient, removing barriers, removing awkwardness in playing alts. We don't want to actively necessarily encourage it. People already want to do it if they do it. One thing the system is not going to be is something that awards you power or makes your main more effective because you have done things on other characters or anything along those lines. If you want to play alts, do so. If you just love focusing on a single character, that shouldn't feel wrong either.
No. Okay,
Let's talk
good.
about some examples.
Good. Yeah, you shouldn't be punished because you're playing multiple characters.
Okay, so
That's good.
I'm gonna run
I
through these pretty
realized.
quickly. They're mostly fairly straightforward. It's a bank. It's an account-wide bank. Thankfully,
I mean,
hopefully, you should never again have to mail something to yourself. You also might notice, and so this is
This is
giant
just
lots of
straight
storage,
up
extra
better.
tabs that can be purchased on the right-hand side, so multiple tabs of these. You can organize them as you want. The very observant, the eagle-eyed, will notice a little checkbox mentioning reagents. If you deposit reagents here, you can craft from the account-wide storage on any of your characters.
oh, sick.
Next up, maybe a little new thing. Something that you might put in this account-wide storage are the ability we will now have to create war-bound items that are war-bound until equipped. You might get an item
So
that you
BOE
can't
or
sell in
bind
the
on
auction
account,
house or
kind
trade,
of.
but that you can give to any of your other characters for their use.
But this is just bind on account, no? Kind of. Except they're bound to the warband.
These items would drop as bonus personal loot from doing a variety of content. They would drop
That's
at a
sick.
slightly
That's
lower
that's
item
good.
level than what that content would normally give you. Again, we want to make sure the right way to play is not, playing on multiple characters to funnel loot to your main.
Yeah, you don't
to
want to
gear up your
mule
loot
everything.
faster, but just easy potential hand-me-downs, ways of getting an alt caught up, maybe even an excuse to level an alt if you get a really cool item for a class that you haven't had a chance to get up yet. So just an extra layer here, hopefully, making it easier than ever to progress, to accomplish your goals on multiple characters. All right, now quick rundown of some of the other integrations we have planned. Transmog. Transmog has always been, it's been for a long time an account-wide collection. Key thing here now that really it is being acquired by your warband, that means that now if you were running, let's say, Ulduar on your mage and a pair of plate shoulders drop, you can still add those plate shoulders to your warband collection.
Finally. Finally, because I got so fucking many drops that I never could use.
Self-explanatory.
Like
And
the
then,
Tusk to
you log on your
Manaroth, I
warrior
got him
later,
on a
your warrior can
Hunter.
equip them, you're good to go. Hopefully you
was
don't
so
need to
annoying.
feel like you need to refarm the same stuff on as many different armor types anymore.
But maybe.
Reputations, again, fairly straightforward. In War
I can
Within,
still learn them.
Reputations and renowns will work account-wide. We want to make this as retroactive as possible. That will take some work over time. We're probably going to start with Dragonflight renowns as a focus and a priority and
Okay.
work our way backwards. But going forward, we want progress earned on reputations to not really matter which character you're doing it on. At the end of the day, it's the same content, it's the same experience. If you've gained access to some perk or some recipe, having to re-earn it, not terribly compelling.
Yeah, true. Good. Good. This is just a better
Here's a really
game.
light example, a simple one, just flight paths. As you explore the world, you learn flight paths, you discover flight paths. Is it terribly compelling to have to go back to a spot that you've already been to in multiple characters just to learn a flight path for the 4th time? No. If you have a flight path network unlocked, you have that unlocked across your warband.
So he wasn't kidding when he said everything is just a compound.
And here's an example of something new, just delves. An example of how having this as a foundation means that we can build new systems to inherently work at an account-wide level, just kind of as part of their DNA. As
Or
you're advancing Bran as a companion, as
unlocked
you're
by
empowering
their
him, as
account.
you're customizing him, again, logging on to a different character and going back to having a weaker Bran that doesn't offer the tools that you've grown accustomed to, it's
Oh.
more frustrating than fun to re-earn.
Yeah.
Let's make that progression inherently warband level, inherently account-wide.
Nice. He's getting all the praise.
And achievements. We've had account-wide achievements
Nothing
for a
bad
long
yet.
time. No secret, they have the little blue bar over them, indicating that they function at an account-wide level. What Warbands allows us to do is kind of invert that paradigm and change the vast majority of our achievements to be account-wide, to have that actually be the new default. So if you do part of this PvP or crafting or other achievement on one character, part of it on another, your warband can earn the achievement. Once your warband earns it, you've earned it. Again, you the player are doing the thing.
No, I didn't quite understand that. What's different?
Oh yeah, and then this.
Oh. Wait, this is the Lost Ark login screen.
To kind of signal this shift up front, there's no like mechanical functionality here. But
That's
just in
fucking
terms of
sick.
presentation, what you'll see when you log into World of Warcraft with multiple characters is a selection of your favorite characters huddled around a campfire or another setting. You'll still have your full list accessible, but we want to make it clear that like you, the player, have this cast of characters that if you want to dress them all up in consistent transmogs, go wild.
Are those leather
One
shoulders
thing
on
you might
that
note here,
ugly
if you're very eagle-eyed, also by
lizard?
the way, if you're very eagle-eyed, don't read too much into things like the evoker wearing leather. That's just, it's internal mock-ups. We're not changing anything.
Pre-watched?
Sorry. But you will note that the evoker is level 13. That's going to be a thing that's possible.
Oh yeah, it's level 13.
But because Dragonflight's going to be the new leveling expansion, by the way, going forward.
So, boys, make
One
one
thing I noticed is
now.
there isn't really much here about realm selection. Warbands
If you don't want to
are
level
a
it,
realm
make
agnostic
one
faction
now.
agnostic feature. You will just see all your characters here. If they're on different servers, we'll make it clear that they're on different servers.
What's the
But you
next
shouldn't
max
have to,
level?
like, go to the change
Is it
realm
80?
screen and swap around. They're just all here.
Cool. This is really cool.
Okay. Hero talents. So, at their core, this is a chance.
Oh yeah,
for
these
us,
were
as we continue
the
to evolve and
specialization
classes,
talent
to
thingies.
explore some deeper class fantasies, to look at iconic
Didn't quite
archetypes like
understand
the
this.
Farseer, or the Dark Ranger, or the Mountain King, or others, often inspired by major heroes in the Warcraft universe, other times by fantasies that we've heard are really resonant with players, and focus the continued expansion of our classes in that space. Now, Morgan said this yesterday, just to restate, this is a completely flexible system. It's as flexible as your current
Yeah.
talents and specs.
That I
Nothing
remember.
Like Revenants or anything like that. Anytime you could change your talents today, you can change your hero spec, you can swap around your hero talents. They're just talents.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We like
Some of our
flexibility.
goals here, of course, we want to offer progression, but we want to do so, frankly, while managing complexity to a certain extent. When we started planning for War Within, we knew, all right, we're going to raise the level cap by 10. 10 new levels means 10 new talent points. The kind of default option for
Okay,
us
so
would have
80
been to take the existing class and
is the
spec
max level.
trees and just add a couple more rows to each of them, add new points to spend. But we've been down that path before. We know exactly where that leads 15 years ago. There's a tremendous amount, there's an insane amount of like multiplicative combinatorial complexity from adding those additional options. And it also destroys some carefully constructed
Yeah,
choices that
this
are really
is
successful
way
and
smarter.
just built up in Dragonflight today, where you can't quite have all of these things and need to pick one or the other. Suddenly, when you can get all of them, it can lead towards homogeneity.
So you make an extra specialization or
approach
multiple?
allows us to both explore deeper class fantasy while focusing the decision space in a way that offers power without that excessive complexity.
That means they can just
So
keep on
the way
adding
it's generally going to look
every
is
expansion.
A third talent tree. Again, as mentioned yesterday, at
Okay,
the center
third.
of your screen, you have class, you have talent, and in the middle, you have hero talents. You'll note, so there are 10 nodes. There's an initial node that you get as a starter node at the top that you'll get initially when you unlock the system at 71, and then 10 more nodes to unlock. You will get all of them on the way to 80. At level 80, you will have this fully unlocked, similar to Legion artifacts, let's say. So you don't have to agonize over where you're placing any choice along the way. Now, the choices that you will make are which hero spec do you want active? And also, there will be choice nodes within the trees, just as the class trees and the spec trees currently have, which you can toggle, adding quite a few permutations to the system as a whole. If you want, as a kind of simpler collapsed view, once you've hit max level, you can just condense it down to only show 10
sick.
choice
That's
nodes
good.
for easy swapping back and forth to customize your spec for whatever activity you're setting out to do. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to quickly walk through a couple of trees to give a sense of the sorts of things you might
So you
find
have
here.
one tree
All of this is
per
subject to change, all subject to iteration and the extensive feedback
spec
we know we're going
or
to get.
per class?
I'm going to use druids a lot as an example here. Going to focus on the case of a balanced druid.
Oh,
Part of
wait.
Why the team
Okay.
starts.
So
part of why the team
this
starts with druids
has
is 'cause
2?
y'all are complicated. We figure there's 4 specs, 3 roles. We figure let's try some of the hardest
Inspiration.
cases first when proving out a design. It's nothing against the mages, warlocks, paladins, etc. But there's a
Oh my
reason
God.
why
Oh my
we
God.
like to see more druid
Oh my
examples
God.
in other classes, 'cause we
I can't believe I didn't
work
think of
here.
this.
The rest will be
This is
okay.
fucking ascendancies.
The two options available to a balance
Path
tree
of Exile.
are this Keeper of the Grove tree and Elun's Chosen. Keeper of the Grove is available to balance
Kind
and
of.
restoration. Elun's Chosen is available to balance and guardian. The
Oh,
former
oh,
focuses
okay, so it's
on
one per
calling
spec, but
forests
this
to
is
your
still
aid, on summoned
an
treants,
ascendancy,
and
no?
augmenting their abilities and what using that cooldown means for your gameplay. Elun's Chosen focuses on augmenting
Kind of.
your lunar abilities, many of the arcane damage, moon-themed abilities.
That's
both
sick.
specs. Let's look at the Keeper of the Grove tree first.
Yeah.
The
Let's do it.
first node that you're going to get as you just opt in is just kind of a baseline improvement to your throughput while treants are out across the board. This just kind of emphasizes thematically what this tree is about and makes pushing that button.
Fuck yeah, Blizzard. Just keep stealing. Steal good ideas. Steal it
Some of the
all.
nodes in these trees are just going to be simple, straightforward passives. Not everything is going to double.
This
its
is what
cooldown
you
on
were
the same tree
great at
Some will, like this,
back in the day.
regardless of what spec you are, make your treants add additional damage. Oh, by the way, if anyone's worried, wait a minute, but what about the auto taunt? That's a mess in dungeons. We'll let you opt out of that. Don't worry.
Right,
Or,
which on time?
passives that just
On
augment
the
your
trends
abilities, your
or
resource pool,
trans?
and just make you a better druid. An example of choice node, again, this can be about doubling down on and getting more out of having the treants active.
And generate
Or maybe
for
you
astral
don't want
power.
all of
Wait,
your eggs in that basket. Even though you are going into this tree, you want the treants to be
this
important
is a
to you. You don't
nature
want, you know,
or fucking
100%
balance tree
of
as
your-
well.
Your throughput to be focused in that
'Cause
window. You'd rather just have some baseline
Resta
improvement
doesn't have
with all of your abilities or some of your
astral
core
power.
abilities. This is one of the simpler choices available, but the idea is 4 different opportunities to
So this
blend your
is
gameplay
actually
in one direction or
ascendancies.
another within this tree. A capstone talent, again, is often likely to double down on and amplify what the initial point was, just reinforcing that having the treants out
Oh, that's what he meant. That's why they can just keep on adding
something that you're going to plan around,
different trees
and
later
amplify
on
the overall benefits
without
that you're
ever
achieving from that.
breaking everything.
Pivoting to Elun's Chosen, again, this is lunar themed and shared with Guardian Druids.
This is fucking
the
smart.
First point here,
This is really
I'm gonna
smart.
Call out 3 specific signature abilities: 2 balance, 1 guardian, and
Yeah?
make them,
I don't
meaningfully more
understand
impactful to
druids.
your gameplay. If you're a guardian druid, for example, you might read this and realize that like lunar beam is going to become a pretty powerful defensive cooldown, especially in dungeons. You have a big pull going on. You're leeching a lot of damage back from what
leech.
you're doing. This is now something that you can really count on and plan around as you approach your gameplay. On the Moonkid side, this of course adds an extra layer to planning and throughput in your rotation. Noting a couple of these things that we're modifying, maybe deeper optional talents in your existing spec trees. We also, where we can, want to offer ways to make sure that you can trigger those effects even if you don't have the baseline talent, though you'll probably want to as well. So this talent just has Fury of Elune triggered as you're doing your regular rotation when you Moonfire, both just naturally, it's a powerful effect that's going to fire more frequently, but also to the extent that the rest of the Elune's Chosen tree is tying into it, you'll get those benefits as well.
That's sick.
A couple of more passive
I mean, that's
examples
just
here.
straight up better.
Again, just doubling down on magnifying your arcane
think.
lunar throughput, and
Am I
a
understanding
final
this
capstone
correct?
ability for this tree that is further reinforcing these core that have already been augmented.
Like,
Leave this slide up for a while. These are our current plans for
Rider
all
of the
39 of the hero specs.
Rider of the
one current
Apocalypse?
specialization.
Wait.
Some cool fantasies here to explore.
wait,
Definitely really
can they
curious
fucking
to hear
ride around on mounts? The
community
Death
feedback
Knights?
on all these, which are exciting, which are most
Sand
resonant,
Lane,
which
that's
sound,
one of
frankly,
those
maybe a bit lame.
night elf
Are there any
thingies,
that
the
you
vampires.
hope
No,
you
no, no,
see
no.
on here
Let me see
you're
that.
not seeing on, maybe a bit.
Okay. Deathbringer, like Sarfang, sure. Chrono Warder, Invoker, I don't know what that means. I don't play the Lizard. Where's Hunter? It's in the middle. Sentinel. So Turret, Pack Leader, and that's fucking Beast Mastery. And Dark Ranger is MM, I think? Sentinel. Where have I heard that before? Isn't that the glaive throwers? Like the melee glaive thrower thingy? So that's probably survival, no? Or maybe these work for every spec. I don't understand this this quite yet. But the Dark Ranger sounds fucking cool. Name-wise. What else? Stormbringer, Farseer Totemic. Deathstalker, Trickster, Fatebound. Paladin, Lightsmith, Herald, Herald of the Sun, and Templar. That sounds sick too. Void Weaver, Oracle, Archon. Oh yeah, I'm just okay. Sure, let's go.
Lame.
This is
Are
cool.
there any
This is
that
really cool.
You hoped you'd see on here that you're not seeing on here. We are, well underway building these out, but it's definitely early enough for us to pivot on a lot of these if there's something the community is really excited about. I want to like triple super underscore. The example talents I just gave are work in progress, very subject to change. Probably no part of the game is more prone to iteration, and for no part of the game is the community input more essential than class design, spec design.
I'm excited to play this.
To that end, when we move into our alpha, probably in the spring, we want to have as many, if not all of these hero specs playable from the start, so that we have the entire alpha and beta window to iterate on them, to replace the things that aren't working, to allow them all in.
We don't want you to test things 3 days before the expansion fucking releases. Good, this is good.
With you and really just collaborate, discuss back and forth.
My hat. Hat off. Hats off to you. Good one. Your team has done good. This is good.
Right.
Other features.
Now some other stuff. Some you've heard about, some you haven't. First off, Allied Race, you get to be an Earthen.
Yeah, I don't really care. It's not a dwarf.
Dwarves, or maybe not so blinged out.
This kind of looked like the other dwarf the Alliance have.
Just by playing through the War Within campaign fully.
Except both factions can have it, because they mentioned that yesterday. Okay.
You are meeting
Just
the
play to
Earthen
earn.
as, it's a first contact in essence. You're going to learn about the nature of their problems, the nature of their culture. You're going to work with them to overcome those problems, win their trust. And at the end of that journey, it will make sense. It will be a natural next step for them to lend you their aid and join you as either Horde or Alliance. So yes, Horde dwarves.
This is just straight up better. They're removing all the tedious
We
shit.
haven't yet finalized what the racial abilities are going to be, but the available classes, 10 out of the 13 available classes. Everything but Druid, Demon Hunter, and Evoker. Now on the right side here, you see the concept of the Heritage Armor you'll be able to earn from leveling your Earthen to max level.
Square. Cool.
Right.
Sure.
Dynamic Flight.
Yeah. We like this. This wasn't a surprise, but
obvious very early on in Dragonflight, probably before Dragonflight even released in beta, that
players love this.
Go back to how it used to be. Honestly, we hope that would be the outcome. We hope the feedback would be, this is so awesome. We just want this to be how flying works.
Yeah, I fucking just enjoy riding around on the mounts, though.
Making plans for what that would mean, because it's the only way. It's the only way to go.
Feels good.
And so, dragon riding is going to become the default. No longer just dragons, but dynamic flight now in War Within and beyond. We want to make sure. Oh, weird. I meant to have 2 mounts here, but I only see Ashes on the right. But anyway, the key point being, we want to expand this to the broader array
mounts,
of mounts that you have available. I think the only downside of dragon riding, as it exists today, is that you don't have much reason to use so many of the mounts that are your favorites visually, aesthetically, that you've earned and done so much to collect.
But not just the special mounts, though.
As much of your collection is viable as possible. So not every single flying mount is going to be able to support dynamic flight. There's some animation logistics to work with there. As many as we can. It's a 3-digit number. We want a very wide array of mounts being able to.
I mean, yeah, sure. That's fine. That's fine.
Enjoyed with your dragons.
That's good. It's just, it doesn't matter. No one uses a fucking Griffin anyway, or
the future of flying. So everywhere that you can fly today, you'll be able to dynamically fly or dragon ride.
Even wait, does that mean they have fixed skyboxes in?
I think in our upcoming 10.2.5 update, you'll be able to dragon ride in Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, Outland, you name it.
Cool. Good one. Perfect change.
We also understand there are some folks, for accessibility reasons, personal preference reasons, maybe you just like being able to AFK in midair, that dragon riding isn't your favorite. We don't want to take anything away. We want to let all these mounts that can currently do the old school flying mode toggle between dragon riding or let's call it TBC flying. Up to you, whatever you prefer.
Yep. Great.
And again, to be clear, dynamic flight will be available from the very start when you go to Kazalgar on the Isle of Dorn, just as it was in Dragonflight.
Right. Now, do we keep the coins we gathered, or do we need to do it again?
Shortly after reaching max level, with no reputation grind requirements.
The
just
fucking
play through the campaign, explore the continents, then you can
fight
fly that way as
coins?
well.
The fuck were they called? The trophies you gathered, the golden
the
ones.
Existing dragon riding glyph system.
Oh
in
yeah, the
Dragon
glyphs.
Isles,
Okay, yeah.
We want to pivot that to a bit more of something that's evergreen. Some of those
Okay.
unlocked traits may change to only work within the Dragon Isles. Others that are more essential to just the experience feeling good, like vigor increases, regenerates, the active abilities, are just going to be things that you will inherently get as you earn dynamic flight and level up naturally. We don't want down the line players to feel like they have to go back to an old expansion and fly around and collect a bunch of
This
glyphs
just
to be able
perfect.
to
Yeah, this makes
explore the
sense.
new expansion.
This makes perfect sense.
And in that vein, this is going to be the new default for leveling players. I mentioned earlier, when War Within comes out, instead of BFA,
So when can you learn
Dragonflight
dragon
will be
riding?
the new leveling experience that you merge into as a new player after you leave Exile's Reach. And so you're going to get dragon riding very early in that experience.
Okay.
As you just
All
level
right.
up, gain player levels.
Perfect.
You will improve your flight ability and get all the vigor perks and everything else.
So that
that
means
everyone
like
comes to
level
expect, and that's just gonna
35?
be how the game works as a baseline. This is what flight is now.
Or maybe instantly, considering you get the Dragonfly mount in
Don't worry,
Dragonfly.
Gameteers, we haven't forgot you.
Kind of fast.
This is long overdue. We should have been doing this earlier. So there's a new battleground coming in War Within.
wait.
It is a 10v10 map set
Oh.
in the Ringing Deeps.
So wait.
This is
Maybe this is what I
inspired
was
by
talking about
Silver Mines with a few twists. The Ringing
earlier?
Deeps are a place that's full of natural resources.
No?
That's very sort of
No
thing
Heroes
that
of the
Before
Storm?
Alliance would be likely to skirmish
5v5?
over.
No.
I'm going to show you a very rough, early, kind of like top-down mock-up of the layout here. The idea is, unlike Silver Shard Mines, which is radial symmetry, this is more mirrored and reflects the two sides trying to both push their own minecarts to collect
So
resources.
you want to control the
while
middle.
also fighting over a pivotal central control point that's going
And
to
push
change the
it.
outcome and the momentum of the match. This is something that the team has actually been playtesting internally a bunch over the last couple of weeks, having a blast with.
So
Unique battleground maps, we
whomesoever
don't really
owns this
quantify them. We keep
gets
them
the
really rough, which is
respawn
why we
point
don't have
here,
any
I guess.
Good images to show just yet, because it really is all about the layout. There's no
Oh,
point
wait, what the
making it
fuck?
look pretty if the spacing isn't correct, if the exact paths aren't correct. That's going to be the next step.
Wait.
Can't wait to get this in front of
I
everybody.
don't understand
start testing in
the
alpha and beyond.
resurrections.
And this isn't just a one-off. We want to
Or
keep
the
adding new battleground
graveyards.
maps going forward. This is an essential part of the game. And
Cool.
I mentioned
Yeah.
10v10, but we are just
Another
about to
battleground.
undertake a little 8v8
They wanted.
solo queue
Give
RPG
it-
experiment in 10.2 in a week or two. So depending on how that goes, you may be experiencing this one 8v8 as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah, cool.
Otherwise, we have
Where's
a
Brawler
few
skill,
ongoing
though?
interface updates that we're continuing to work on. In Dragonflight, we overhauled the HUD, the action bars, the unit frames, the baseline UI experience. We made it clear at the time that that was just the beginning. This is something we want to continue chipping away at, updating different pieces of the UI to be more streamlined, better reflective of the modern gameplay experience. So just a couple of
No
examples
Brawler's
here.
Guild.
So the spellbook, we are looking to modernize, update, actually
Good,
take
cool.
use of more than like a 1024 by 768 monitor resolution. Ideally, you're not going to have to flip through multiple pages to find
Yeah, no.
stability that's not on your action bars.
This is good.
Also, we're combining this.
I didn't
with our
really think
talent
about
tree. If
this.
you look at the tabs at the bottom. You have spec.
Yeah, this is
talents,
just
and
straight up better.
spells all in one place. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all the things that your character has available, rather than having two separate windows that you need to move between. Some light updates here. I think improving the overall aesthetic of the quest log, the quest window. Think if this is harder
Can
to
you
show off
fucking
just in a single
center that
screenshot,
shit?
but we are adding a bunch of filters to allow you to
Maybe you
hide and
can.
show different objectives, to see more quests available at once, to filter your log for the things you care about most. We also have a full pass in progress on our quest iconography to make it easier to differentiate between daily and weekly quests and remove our reliance on just shades of color as much as we do, which really it is a color blindness issue for the range of quest bangs where the only difference is what color it is. And again, this is just a couple of examples of ongoing efforts. This is a project that will never be done.
Minute or so?
We're just going to continue
Is this
improving
the
and
next
updating
patch then?
aspects of the UI as we go.
Yeah, Emerald Dream. Okay. Fuck. Do I really have to play the next patch?
This one
I'm
basically
getting kind of
speaks for itself.
excited to play WoW again.
I mentioned earlier, your warband is a cross-realm construct. Increasingly, so many of the activities that players engage
Patch?
in socially
Did I say patch? I mean
span
patch.
multiple realms. You have a raid group, you have a Mythic Plus group that you run with, group that you PvP with, but you can't be in the same guild together. Not any longer. That's a thing that will change when War Within comes out. Apply, recruit, server shouldn't matter when it comes to joining a guild, when it comes to being in a guild, when it comes to accessing the perks of being in a guild.
Alright. So what about Mythic? Now, I don't raid Mythic, but this is an issue for Mythic.
And people may be wondering, wait a minute, what does that mean if now guilds are cross-realm? What about Mythic raiding?
I mean,
If your guild
the
is
fuck?
cross-realm and your guild wants to raid Mythic, you should be able to do that day one. So,
Okay, so they-
no more
okay.
realm restrictions there.
I mean, alright. What the
The Hall
fuck?
of Fame will still exist, just kind of as a memorial of accomplishment, but it's not going to be tied to unlocking
The faction.
anymore. That's just there day one.
Yeah, okay.
And really, just
Cool.
philosophically, this is
Great.
another step towards one of our goals of just tearing down barriers, making the game as social as possible, making it as easy as possible to play with who you want to play with, regardless of your server, regardless of your faction. As much as possible, if you want to play WoW with somebody, let's make that happen.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, so that brings us to the end of this whirlwind tour / deep dive of
Yeah, what the fuck? This was really
I know there's
packed.
still a bunch of questions, a bunch more information to share. Can't wait to do that in the coming days and weeks. But to begin, I'd like to invite everybody, if you have questions, if you're here at BlizzCon, go to the Darkmoon Fair in Hall D. You can drop off questions there. If you're if you're going online, you can go to
We'll
the
answer
WoW
and
or WoW
we'll
Classic
stream
subreddit
answers next
or
week.
our official forums and either ask your questions there
Nice.
or upvote others. This coming week, when we get back to the office, we're going to huddle, review the top questions, and record streams for both Classic and for War Within, addressing the top questions to try to get as much information out there as possible.
Alright,
So-
cool. So no Q&A here then. Ian,
Once again,
you beautiful man.
thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to begin this journey together with you. Can't wait for the War Within. Enjoy the rest of BlizzCon. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I love you all.
I love you too. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Sick.
BlizzCon
Like,
2023.
That was
beyond
super
workout.
packed. Oh well. Thank you for watching my shitty reaction of this panel on the deep dive of World of Warcraft. Deuces.